I'm Mandy and welcome to my YouTube channel, Pickety Stitch Life is So Creative. Today I'm filming from a bedroom, so I do apologise about the lighting in advance, and also I can't find my microphone, so my voice might sound a little bit echoey and tinny. So recently I joined a vlogger group, a sewing vlogger group on Facebook. It was set up by Mel from Ditsy Tulip, and one of the moderators, Claire, who has a YouTube channel called Penguin and Pear, has set a challenge up. And the challenge is to sew a top and review it and post a video on YouTube. So that's what I'm doing. So I've chose the Bonnie Blouse by Sew Over It, who recently released this pattern. So the Bonnie Blouse, it's a 1940s inspired blouse, which I do love that sort of era. And they do say it's intermediate level, and that's because there is a bit of tricky sewing involved in this. That's mainly the hidden bottom placket, which I'll show you more in detail in a moment, and the pleats. So there is two versions of the blouse. There is the one with the pleats, and there is also one which is just plain at the front. It's still got the bottom placket, but there's no pleats. What they do say is that if you've got a fabric with a large print on, to do version 2, to sew version 2, because that's plain. Because what would happen is your pattern would be lost in the pleats. So let's say you've got, I don't know, flowers, big flowers, then you just wouldn't tell what it was if it was pleated. So that's one of the deciders of what version you're going to make. The second thing is that the choice of fabric, it's woven, and they do suggest you use a woven fabric with drape. They advise against using cotton lawn if you're going to make the dress version, which I'll get onto in a moment. So you can use rayon, georgette, silk. Silk would be really lovely, wouldn't it, in this pleated. So that's the type of fabrics to use. There are two, like I've said, there's two versions of the blouse, and you can also have the choice of making it into a dress. So that's why they say there's 4 versions, because you can sew a skirt on this, and you can also sew the same skirt onto the one with the plain front. So basically you're getting 4 patterns in one. The sizes range from 8 to 20, which is a 33 bust to a 45 bust. And the waist, size 8 would be 26 to a size 20, which is a 38. Now I made the size 20, but I did notice this. You know, we usually get 2 widths, don't you, of fabric? You get 1.15 and you get 1.40. And the majority of fabrics you'll buy for dressmaking will actually be 140. So I've noticed that for the pleated version, and that's the pleated version only, for size 18 and 20, there is no measurement of length of fabric for the 1.15 width. So that's indicating to me that you can't actually fit the pattern on for a size 18 and 20 on a 1.15, and that's for the pleated version. However, like I said, 1.45 is the usual, 1.40 is the usual width, and I think it said 1.8 metres for this version, which most fabric companies, as you know, will only sell in half metres or metres, so you're going to need 2 metres. So, and I had quite a bit left over actually of this from 2 metres. So, I made the size 20, which, as we know, is not the retail size. This is dressmaking size, which is a 45-inch bust and 38 waist. And it comes out as a 49-inch. So just be aware of that if you don't like loose tops. It's always worth to look at the finished measurements, and a 41 waist. But I like a loose blouse, because I think when you're working in an office like I do near to a computer, you don't want to be restricted, and in summer it's really cool to wear. So those are the measurements. That's the information about the woven fabrics to use, and now we'll get on to the sewing of it. So it is tricky, it is intermediate level. We have a hidden button placket, and I can just show you that in a little bit more detail. I got these buttons from my mum's stash, and you do sew a press stud at the top and a press stud at the bottom. So that's quite tricky, and you also got the pleats to do. And you sew the button placket first and the pleats before you do the rest of the sewing. So what I suggest you do is you do mark up the pleats. Now I'll show you the pattern. So this is the front bodice. Yeah, I know it's the front bodice, I don't know why I'm looking. So this is the front bodice, and what they suggest you do is you actually pleat up before, so you can sort of work out how you're going to pleat. I must say, it does come together. It looks like it's going to, but it does. It comes together and you end up with your rounded neckline. So that is the pattern. Now, if you go on Stitch School, this came out, and I didn't realise it was free access, but if you go onto the Sew Over It website, they do what they call Stitch School now, and they do put free tutorials on, and they have gone and put 2 free tutorials on regarding the bonnet blouse. They show you how to make the pleats, and they also show you how to make the hidden button placket. I would have perhaps preferred as well if they'd included one on the sleeves, but hey ho, that the 2 tutorials are free, so they're well worth having a look at before you start your project. I did find the instructions a little bit confusing, because when I download the PDF pattern, I also download the booklet to my Kindle app on my iPad, and that's really useful, because if you're a little bit unsure about something, you can drag out so you can see the picture more clearer if you zoom it out. But it was saying that I think it was saying that the right sides to pleat, and I couldn't get my head around that, and I always put my wrong sides together to make a pleat. So I don't know if I've done this wrong, but anyhow, it's turned out okay. It's got the pleats in. And I did struggle a little bit with the sleeves as well, because they are a turn up, as you can see. I hand sewed mine, but when I've looked at pictures, I've seen people have actually machine stitched round. So I don't know if I did something wrong there. But I do love the detail, because it's quite a gathered sleeve, and I like that detail. So then there's the collar as well. So I don't know what I did here. I think I stretched out the collar a little bit. Well, not the collar, the neckline. So I had to sort of really pull on the collar a little bit to get it to fit. But that's entirely my fault there. But I'm quite pleased with that. I did notice on the gallery that some people had theirs together more, but no, I think mine's fine. One thing I forgot to tell you about was the actual waistband. So a dash I'm just finding rather interesting at the moment. Get off the blouse. Ronnie, off. So this is the waistband. It is interfaced, and it's got this lovely little detail at the bottom where it just sort of splits. When you make the dress, obviously the waistband isn't on there. I think it looks like it might be elasticated waist when you put the skirt on, but I'm not sure. But anyhow, there we go. There's the waistband. So yeah, that's my review of the Bonnie blouse. Would I make this again? Well, yes, I would. I'd like to make the plain version as well. And maybe the dress. One thing I think I would say is next time, especially if I was going to make the dress, I might lengthen the waist by at least an inch. Because as you get older, as we know, with hormone depletion, etc., you do get a thickening around your waist. So I might just, to allow for that, I might just lengthen that. I do find that's one of the problems I find, especially with the Sew Over It, is that the waists are a little short for me. And I've noticed a lot of ladies of my age have said the same. I did find that with the penny dress, actually, and they did acknowledge that. So I think if you're going to make the dress, make sure that you measure to make sure that it's going to land at your waist and not up here. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. It's not a quick sew, I must admit. There is some hand stitching involved as well. But if you set yourself up with some snacks and your favourite podcast and get in your craft room and get that sewing machine, I think it could be a nice weekend sew for you. So yeah, that's my review of the Bonnie blouse. I will definitely be making some more. It's one of my favourite makes this year. I think they're on a winner, because I remember when they released, I think it was a penny dress a couple of years ago. That pattern went through the roof. A lot of people made that. So I think this is another winner for Sew Over It, definitely. And the fact that they've put 2 free tutorials on the website and Stitch School. Well, actually there's 4 joined to the Bonnie blouse. There's one how to put the PDF patterns together. The other one's about handling slippery fabric, but the 2 main ones are how to do the pleats and the button placket. So I don't think you can be any fairer than that with Sew Over It, actually. I think they've done a really good job. So yeah, I would definitely suggest that you go on and download the pattern and make one yourselves. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this review.